Ever wonder what the future of work will look like? In the Hope at Work podcast, you will be exposed to new workplace norms, modern technologies, and unconventional ideas, all from a positive point of view. You'll never look at work the same way again. Welcome to the Hope at Work podcast. My name is Marcus Mossberger. I am joined today by Max Fisher. It turns out we live in the same general vicinity in Nashville. We both played soccer in college. I think you played at Clemson. I'm not going to say where I played because it's not nearly as cool. And so I thought I'd love to have him on the podcast. So welcome, Max. Do you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Marcus. Thank you for having me. I'm Max Fisher, born and raised in Salisbury, North Carolina. I'm a product manager at Infor. Did my bachelor's degrees in physics, applied mathematics, and information technology. I went to Clemson, continued to play soccer, and got a master's in mechanical engineering and a master's in computer science. And then just recently accepted to MBA school at Chapel Hill.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Max, let's jump in. Two topics I want to chat with you about today. One is generations, and the second is generative AI. And so, first question, do you think generational differences are real?
Yes, I think they are so real.
Okay.
They're as different as you got to think about a computer that was in the 90s versus my MacBook today or my iPad I got right next to me. They are very different. Now, they still get the job done. It's about how you get that job done. And so there's definitely a big gap in how you communicate and how you work. One thing I saw from my experience is definitely how you work. My pops and my grandpa, they were very much show up to the office. They're going to put in 8 to 12 hours and they'll leave, they'll go home. And I think about how I work today. I wake up, probably start a little bit before working hours. I work for a couple hours. Then I might go have breakfast, go have a coffee, come back a little later in the day. Might be at my desk, might be on the couch on my iPad. And so you can see how it might be a little bit different or how that works and how my pops might see me working on the couch going, shouldn't you be in the office, son? That sort of thing. So there's differences, but the job still gets done at the end of the day.
I love that. That's a hot topic that I think you find a wide variety of differing opinions on. So there's this notion of work-life balance, which I think you identified as maybe the previous generations expected that, where they would go into the office a certain amount of time each day. They would come home and there was a distinction between their personal lives and their professional lives. What seems to have evolved over the last few decades is this notion of work-life integration, or I've also heard it referred to as work-life harmony, where it sounds like what you described, where in the middle of the day, there may be some personal things that you do, but your day isn't confined by the 8 to 5 hours. When you work, where you work, and how you work is pretty different. Curious to know what your thoughts are relative to your generation's perspective on those two nuances.
I think it's very individualistic. There's times where I'm in the mood that I want that work-life balance. There's sometimes I want that integration. One thing that's important is your relationship with your coworkers, your boss, and the people you work with.
Yeah, I really like what you said, Max. It is very individualistic, right? It depends on the person. And then it may evolve over the course of time and over the course of a day or a week, where you may be gravitating toward one of those more than the other. Your generation has a reputation of being willing to forego money, title, promotions in order to have meaning and purpose. Do you agree with that?
100%, Marcus. You got to enjoy what you do. This is a good portion in your life. You want to be able to give purpose and do something bigger than yourself in your everyday. If I'm going to spend this much time, it better be worthwhile. What is going to make me a better person?
Absolutely. And you're right, Max. We spend the majority of our lives at work. And I completely agree. We should enjoy it. We should be good at it. We should find purpose and meaning in it when possible. But I think the previous generations, and especially the baby boomer generation, didn't necessarily see that as a high priority. They assumed, hey, I may or may not like my job, but I'm going to go in and do it a certain amount of time. And again, like my stepdad worked for the U.S. Postal Service for 39 years. I remember my grandpa was at a printing company for 40 years. And that's just not how the world works anymore. Curious to know your thoughts relative to things like anniversary rewards. So if I said to you, hey, Max, Do you want to know what you're going to get for your 5-year anniversary here at Infor? Do you care about that or not?
Not really. Those should be more merit-based and contribution-based. Do what you're best at and what you're passionate about. And if you're good at it, those rewards should come that way, right? Not just a timing sort of thing.
That's the history is, hey, you've been here 5 years, you've been here 10 years, we're going to give you a gold watch, some paperweight to put on your desk. And that's some kind of an acknowledgement of the tenure within the organization. And I get that. It's not like we shouldn't say, hey, thank you for being here for 5 years or for 10 years. But I had a feeling that the next generation would look at those types of things and laugh a little bit and think very little chance of me being here 10 years from now. And therefore, I don't care what your 10-year anniversary reward is. I care about you taking good care of me now when I am performing at a level that deserves recognition or reward. So it's interesting. I talked to a lot of folks today that still have those antiquated systems in place. They do annual reviews once a year. They do these anniversary rewards once a year. And I think, why are you waiting all year or several years to acknowledge Max for a job well done when you could do that on a weekly basis, a daily basis? You're not required to wait. I asked somebody recently, we went to the Velocity event in New York recently, and I asked the audience in a presentation I was giving, why do you do reviews once a year? And the answer was, because we've always done it that way.
Hey, this is William Tincup. Listen, we did a series for iSolved called Heroes of HR, where we talk to HR practitioners. And these are just your run-of-the-mill, everyday, slogging it out, 300 employees in Cedar Rapids, HR pros. Mostly it's centered around iSolved and what they do with iSolved, but also they talk a lot about kind of the day-to-day rigor of HR. If you're curious about that, search for Heroes of HR wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you.
I still would not downplay loyalty. Like you said, you might not be there for 5 years, not be there for 10 years. But if you're able to perform for 10 years and stay loyal to those, there's something to say about someone who stayed dedicated to something for 10 plus years.
I appreciate the fact that what you're saying is loyalty can still exist, but it maybe takes a different form. And one of the ways I think it's a little bit different today is, Max, you might stay at Infor for 5 years, 10 years, but I doubt you're going to stay in the same role that whole time. I think internal mobility has become a much bigger challenge and need for organizations to address. I remember reading Josh Bersin, a luminary in the world of HR, talk about it's easier to find a job outside of my company than it is inside. That's not right. So if we give you visibility to opportunities to change roles, maybe even change careers multiple times, then you probably will stay here. And that's great for you and great for Infor, because the company retains your institutional knowledge, your intellectual capital, and you get a chance to try new things, to do new things, and not have to go somewhere else where you got to start over and be the new guy. We all know how tough that is. What do you think?
100%. I think I've changed roles 3 times in 3 years, been that growing. I come through a family of bankers, and if you were to tell me the person I was dealing with, maybe it was a VP or a C-level, and they started off as a teller, I would have so much more respect and comfortable with, hey, I'm going to trust you with my money because you've seen it from the very beginning to where you are now. You've took it from the intake. You did every single line, went up the chain, were able to go through different roles, experience the business at different levels.
Yeah. So experience matters. Let's talk about experience in the form of your generation's perspective of how important is technology in the workplace. So we're getting into the world of generative AI. It's been about a year since it's really exploded on the scene. So how do you see generative AI and other new technologies changing the workplace?
You're not going to press a button and the computer's going to do everything you want it to do. And I don't think they want it that way. Mm-hmm. I know for a fact, I don't want the computer to completely automate what I'm doing. What I want to do is to help guide me and make my life a little bit easier. You got to think about going through thousands and thousands of spreadsheets, different order lines, etc. That's a ton of manual labor that I just did. Where if I can get a computer to give me the 10 things I need to look at today, I think today people are thinking it's either me or the computer. It's you and the computer. And so I think that's where we're headed. Maybe one day some of those manual tasks will be completely automated. And so you're doing a bit more with your work. You're able to do a little bit more jobs. I'm not just fine to just one role. I can do 10 different things because the computer's helping me. I think today, take it almost like a Google Maps. It's going to take you where you're going to go. It's guiding you along the way. It can give you these different routes. I think that's where that generative AI is guiding you along your way to make your life a little easier and you better in your job.
I like that. That's a good analogy. And it's very appropriate considering my generation grew up with MapQuest, where we'd have to plug in the information, print it off. We'd have a piece of paper we're staring at while we're driving down the highway. So a little different experience than what you've grown up using. Do you think that there's going to be anything truly significant that will change in the next maybe 5 years or so?
Ooh, in the next 5 years, I see everything through an Apple or an easy way to do work here, right in front of my face. It's very easy to learn. You don't need someone to teach you. I think that's where these systems are going and where this tech is going. It makes all these things so much easier to understand. And so you can get younger people as well as people that are not familiar with that into that role and effective in that role, which I think can lead technology, to your point, Marcus, allowing you to do multiple roles in a business. You don't have to have that tons of experience or year-long training to be able to use this system.
One final question, with this being the Hope at Work podcast, anything in particular you are very hopeful about in terms of where the world of work is heading?
My hope is that everyone can go in and really do passionate work and do those things they're passionate about. There's going to be some things you don't want to do every single time. I don't want to fill out an expense report, but I think, especially in my line of work and in software, I'm trying to make those things that you don't want to do a little bit easier for you, make everyone's day a little bit better.
Really appreciate you taking the time to be on the podcast. Looking forward to get back on the road with you as well.
Yeah, thank you for having me.